Yeah, so I was like 10.
Okay.
And, I was still super into sports and watching them every day and really, but picking them, it was fun to do, but it wasn't something I specifically aspired towards, you know what I mean? Yeah. So my dad was at a smoothie shop, and they had a football pool. You pick the games. There's 16 games, 30 teams in the NFL. And the winner would get the pot.
Yep.
So let's say 10 people put in $50, winner gets $500, right? So my dad fills one out, his friend fills one out. I mean, they're both grown men and watch a lot of football, and I'm a kid.
Yeah.
So my dad brings it back to me. He's like, hey, Zach, fill this out. And I don't think twice. I look through this, bang, 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 right? And goes past my mind, right?
Yep.
And a few weeks later, my dad goes in the smoothie shop, and the guy goes, are you Zach? He goes, no, but my son is. Why? He goes, well, he won the football pool. And he goes, oh, that's great. He goes, yeah, we never had this before, but he got every pick right.
Wow.
So my dad brought me home the cash.
Yeah.
And
all right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Soho House in West Hollywood, California. I'm your host, Vito Glazers, and this is another episode of Vito Glazers After Dark. I would like to welcome my guest, Mystic Zach Hirsch, a.k.a. I Pick Wins. Zach, welcome to the show. How's it feel to be in Soho House today?
It feels great. When I walked in, I said, this is a total Vito Glazers type of environment. I felt the energy when I walked in, so it fits you perfect. I'm glad you're hosting it. No one else could do it.
Thank you, brother. And I got to ask you, what makes it a Vito Glazers environment? What about it made
it's cool, it's cool. Vito's a cool guy. He's an, California guy, Rico Suave, I could feel the energy.
Thanks, brother. Well, I appreciate it. I'll take it as a compliment. But honestly, we've got to talk about you because Zach, I've known him since he was basically a teenager. I still consider you a teenager. Zach is, are you old enough to drink even? Are you old enough to be in here? All right, don't tell anybody, guys. But Zach is the youngest sports betting prodigy, the youngest, most accurate sports bettor in America, sports picker in America. I don't gamble, so I'm actually wasting my energy because I should start gambling because I look at your picks, I get them first. You can find his picks at I Pick Wins on Instagram. You've built 1 million followers. You've got a verified Instagram, verified Facebook. You're the real deal. You've got huge sponsors. You're basically in the corner with Jake Paul at all his fights. Tell the audience a little bit about where you're from, how you got started in sports, and where you're trying to go from here.
Yeah, so I'm from, I'm a local kid. I'm from Delray Beach, Florida.
Yeah.
And kind of like a small, grassroots type environment. There's 30,000 people in the city. And I've loved sports since I was a kid. It's always been my number one thing since I was very, very young. And when I was younger, even my grandma would walk me around and she'd be like, Zach, name the players in the Cowboys. And I'd spit them out.
Really?
Yeah, and I'd play Madden and I'd memorize all the rosters.
Yep.
And I'd go online, I'd memorize every statistic I could. So I was always a sports sponge. And as far as the boxing game, growing up, my dad had a boxing gym. So I grew up around that, managing fighters, running training camps, just things like that. So the boxing game was a natural link, and my love of football just carried me through all the way.
So you're amazing at picking all the sports. What's your personal favorite sport?
Honestly, it's football.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the moneymaker. That's the breadwinner. That's the number one bet sport in America.
Is it?
Specifically, so it makes sense. Super Bowl's the most bet event every year, so.
And did you pick the Super Bowl right this year?
Yeah, I had the Rams and the under, so.
That's amazing. Congratulations. Zach, you're just so fun to watch online. So how did you kind of go from just being a sports fan, because, to me, you're still a kid, So I was going to say as a sports fan as a kid, but your dad actually told me a story that you were 6 years old or something, and you picked every college game. How did you do it?
Yeah, so I was 10.
Okay.
And, I was still super into sports and watching them every day and really, but picking them, it was fun to do, but it wasn't something I specifically aspired towards, you know what I mean? So my dad was at a smoothie shop, and they had a football pool. You pick the games. There's 16 games, 30 teams in the NFL. And the winner would get the pot.
Yep.
So let's say 10 people put in $50, winner gets $500, right? So my dad fills one out, his friend fills one out. They're both grown men and watch a lot of football, and I'm a kid.
Yeah.
So my dad brings it back to me. He's like, hey, Zach, fill this out. And I don't think twice. I look through this, bang, 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 right? And goes past my mind, right?
Yep.
And a few weeks later, my dad goes in the smoothie shop, and the guy goes, are you Zach? He goes, no, but my son is. Why? He goes, well, he won the football pool. And he goes, oh, that's great. He goes, yeah, we never had this before, but he got every pick right.
Wow.
So my dad brought me home the cash, and after that, we knew I had a pretty good gift for it.
How much cash?
I think about $500.
$500.
If I recall correctly, yeah.
Okay, so you win $500. Was it just luck, or was there something to it? Did you actually go in there with some kind of strategy, even at 10 years old?
Yeah, I think my entire life I've computed it in my head whether team's going to win based on the information that I've downloaded from watching it, right?
Sure.
And I like to call it selective photographic memory.
Yeah,
So if I'm interested in something, I really do have photographic memory.
And I do believe that, because you and I have had some conversations, and you remember everything.
Yeah, I can name 1,000 NFL players. I can recall any statistic I've heard in sports, and I think that really helps me being able to remember every play and watching every game and stuff like that. So, yeah that's always been something that I've been interested in.
No, that's really cool, and honestly, you're a lot of fun to watch, and it's amazing seeing how successful you become. So that's actually something that I'd like to kind of share with our audience a little bit today. Is you started as a 10-year-old kid picking sports. I'm going to just assume you've made millions of dollars sports betting and selling picks. You don't have to confirm or deny that. But I see what's going on, and I'm doing the math in my head, and I'm like, all right, you're not hurting, that's for sure. Now you have amazing opportunities. I mean, you were backstage with Kanye West and Elon Musk the other night. You're at Kanye West concerts. You're front row at every major sporting event. You have your own show coming out now on one of the biggest platforms on the internet, World Star Hip Hop, and you're going to be doing a sports show with one of the most iconic rappers in hip hop history, with Jada Kiss. Yeah. So how do you go from being a 10-year-old kid picking sports to being a 20-year-old with your own show on World Star with one of the most famous rappers of all time? What's kind of the journey in between there?
Yeah, and it was always kind of my dream or my goal to get on TV as a sports anchor, and picking wins and just picking sports in general was kind of my way to dive in and get my name out there.
Right.
But when I first started, I was 14 when I started doing on-camera stuff, and I finally went to a school where they kind of appreciated, what I was interested in, passionate about, and they encouraged me. So I did a Facebook Live show about sports, and I'm a chubby kid. I'm, nothing like this. I'm like, hey guys, this is Zach Hirsch, and this weekend we have the dunk contest, and I'm looking off my computer, and I thought I was great.
Yeah.
And I maybe compared to the other people, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I came home to my dad, I'm like, Dad, I'm already the best in the world. Like, it doesn't get better than this.
Yeah.
And so I had confidence. That was good.
Confidence
and
is good.
The info was there, but nothing with the energy, nothing like Mystic Zach wasn't born. He wasn't created yet.
Yeah.
And I was doing the Facebook Live show, and then one summer my school said, Zach, we know you're going to go to college for sports management, sports journalism, but you need to flesh something out and get something out there for your resume before you go to college, right? So that summer, as a project, I took it upon myself. I built iPickWins.com.
Really?
Where I was going to build out, pick, sports and whatever. And I never expected to gain, my goal wasn't to be famous picking sports.
Right.
My goal was to get my picks out there and to just literally have something to put on my resume for college, you know? So I started my Instagram, and Shannon Briggs was training Logan Paul, and he brought me out to L.A., and I did some videos with Logan and met Jake and met a lot of people. And then all of a sudden I was kind of an influencer / sports picker.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my initial foray into the Instagram social side of things, where people could recognize my talent of picking wins, and also I could get into the social media aspect of it. So that was really cool, and just building connections and just staying friendly with everyone constantly is really important, and a lot of people burn bridges and really burn relationships by asking for a lot of favors that you probably don't deserve, you know?
Right.
So I think just chilling, just keeping your contacts, and maybe, doing them some favors as well is really important.
No, well, you definitely have a great mindset for business, for making it in the entertainment industry. I think everybody's rooting for you, and we're all super excited to see how far you're going to go. You've come so far at such a young age. So basically, we'd like to share some value with the audience about kind of the journey. And from getting to know you, this is kind of how I've seen the journey, and I'd like you to expunge upon it and kind of tell me if I'm off here. But basically, what I've seen is you kind of took the first part of your life to really master your craft. So, obviously you're passionate about it. So what kind of advice would you have for people that are watching this now that are maybe aspiring writers, directors, influencers? What was it about your journey that made you want to really master your craft at sports? And what is a tip that you could share that made you a better sports picker?
Yeah, I would say my number one tip is photographic memory.
Yeah. That's a great start.
I have a constant obsession to be great in things that I'm passionate about, and that's in every facet that I work in, every business that I enter. So that desire to be great, to be the best, is what really drove me throughout that. And when I really started to put my ideas out there, and I wasn't hiding behind a screen,
Right.
and I was having to make them publicly. I think that put extra pressure on me to be better, do greater things, and to be the best sports picker possible. And my first year on I Pick Wins, I think that really helped catapult. I went 21-0 in my college football picks.
Amazing.
So that was big, right?
And it's all on the record. I mean, this stuff is documented, and that's part of what makes Zach's journey so incredible, is that not only did he master his craft, but then you really started documenting this stuff on social media, so it's indisputable. Yeah. So that's kind of like step 2 of your journey. Step 1, you're kind of becoming this sports master, but that could be applied to anything. You could be like a singing master, a music master, a art master. Step 2 is putting yourself out to the world, and you really did that. Wow. What was the biggest challenge that you faced sharing your picks and getting the courage to put yourself out to the world like that?
I think just the journey to develop Mystic Zach. Because, Mystic Zach is different than Zach Hirsch, right? Like, Zach Hirsch is the kid who goes to college, and he loves his mother and his dogs and whatever. Mystic Zach is kind of a character that embodies me and has a totally different type of energy, right? So it's almost like acting or playing a role, It's a totally different, so I think developing that was really harder for me than the sports picks, because that comes natural to me.
Sure.
I'm already watching all the sports. I've got a photographic memory.
Yep.
And I was trying so hard the first year to get all my picks right, but that was definitely part of the journey as well. But as soon as I put myself out there and allowed myself to be criticized, and I was able to watch myself through less thick lenses, as they say, then that was when I was really able to improve.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing for people to process, but when they're listening to your journey, is that when you're on your social media journey, it's not really about being perfect, it's about putting yourself out there. And then as you kind of start putting yourself out there, if you really are great at what you do, you'll kind of pick things up and opportunities will come to you. And I mean, you're really killing it. You've built a following. You've got over 1 million followers on Instagram alone. You're verified on Instagram. You put out pics. People love your pics. The comments are great. I mean, you must be making people money, right? Like, you've got great sponsors. You've got people coming to you. And I guess part 3 of that now is you're just taking it to the next level. So tell us a little bit about the next project you're working on and kind of how that came to be, and what you're looking forward to in the future.
Yeah, so it all started with Dipset versus the Locks versus. It was like a big time rap battle.
Versus.
Yeah. So me and my dad's fighter, Michael Hunter, we manage him, and he had a big spectacular knockout, and then that kind of bled into the verses. It was like Triller Box, it was boxing and
boxing, rap. Boxing and rap have kind of created a new entertainment hybrid.
Yeah, and I think New York is the perfect culture for that, right?
Yeah, they like to rap and then punch each other.
Yeah, or punch each other than rap in this case. So the boxing match happened. French Montana's grabbing us, and then they break down the stage, and it's rap. So it's kind of crazy, and ended up being like the most legendary verses up to this point. And
that one kind of launched verses into the mainstream, I would say, and especially through the social platforms.
Yeah, I didn't realize how massive it was. I mean, I was there, and I was able to kind of see, like, this isn't normal, but I'm checking Twitter, and it's #1 trending. I'm like, huh.
I think the thing is, and see, you're like friends with Jake Paul, and you're really in with the Paul brothers and stuff like that. I think tell us a little bit about, real quick, like, how did influencer boxing kind of take off? Like, I think it's really people just like to see those confrontations and pick their side. What do you think about influencer boxing? Do you think it's good for the sport, or do you think it's diluting it?
I think anything that brings more eyes to the sport is good for the sport, right? I mean, it was considered a dying breed. I mean, you hear it all the time. Every single person, well, after Mike Tyson stopped boxing, I stopped watching.
Right.
And now their kids and grandkids are watching because of guys like Jake Paul. And I believe that it's because of the narrative that these guys are able to create going into it. They have experience behind, the video and stuff like that. And I think boxers and boxing fans in general need to acknowledge the work that went into building their social media presence, right?
Absolutely.
That's not a walk in the park. They dedicated their time to do that. Like, I've been in the gym with Jake, and boxers have come at him. Well, you didn't put in the work like I did. You don't deserve it. The guy uploaded 1,000 videos in a row.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a daily grind, just like you're daily grinding in the gym, Maybe it's not as tough physically, but that's mentally draining. That's a lot of work, And if it was so easy, you would be able to do it, right?
Anybody could do it.
So why don't you have a social media following if it's so easy and anyone can do it, right? So obviously this is a different skill set they bring in, and luckily we've had some guys who have a lot of athletic ability and have really put the grind in, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, KSI, and now Jake's kind of crossing over and fighting combat athletes, which is crazy as well. So to see where they can take it is crazy. I mean, Logan fought Floyd Mayweather, so it doesn't really get bigger than this.
It's the real deal, and I find it very entertaining, and that's what matters, right? So, okay, I got to ask you on the record. Are Jake Paul's fights rigged?
No, absolutely not.
No way, right?
Yeah, that's like completely illegal. Like everyone would be
Yeah.
arrested involved. I
Yeah.
mean, the commission would shut down Showtime Sports. Why would anyone do that? And I just don't understand like how you could fake someone getting knocked out. Like before
Everybody
this
asks.
one,
Yep.
they would just make up a new one. They were like
Yeah.
after the Ben Askren, like he kind of went down quickly, but
Yeah.
he's old and like
Yeah.
had a hip replacement, so whatever. And then the next one, they rigged it to go to a decision.
Yep.
He couldn't knock Jake out. Well, why did he hit him so hard? Like,
Yep.
how did he know Jake wouldn't get knocked out? Like, he just happened to have a good chin. Like,
All right. Well, we got 30 seconds left on the clock. You got a new project
oh,
coming
buzzer
out.
beater.
Yep.
You got Jada Kiss, Zach Hirsch on World Star Hip Hop. Where can people find out more information about you?
Yeah, so that's the Kiss and the Miss podcast coming out on World Star Hip Hop, produced by them. My guy Jada Kiss, who I was able to link up with after the verses.
Yes.
Obviously, he had the best rap year to anyone 2021. We're going to
Yep.
get some spectacular guests, and I can't wait to break down sports with one of the GOATs.
All right, I can't wait to watch the show. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow Mystic Zach on Instagram at IPickWins. This has been another episode of Vito Glazers After Dark, live from the Soho House in West Hollywood, California. We're so grateful for you tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Well, thank you to everybody for tuning in to tonight's episode of Vito Glazers After Dark, live from the Soho House in West Hollywood, California. And if you enjoyed tonight's episode and you'd like to know how you can support the podcast, I invite you to check out one of our affiliate partners, TriCarat. TriCarat is a black card for influencers with amazing rewards. It's a charge card based on your social influence. So actually, how many followers you have has a lot to do with how much money you get approved for on your credit line. So if you're a social media influencer or you're an entrepreneur and you're looking for another great credit line with amazing rewards, I highly suggest you check out influencerblackcard.com. That's influencerblackcard.com. I signed up for free and I got approved for $15,000 monthly limit. So find out today by applying at influencerblackcard.com. See how much you actually get approved for. I'd love to find out from you and hear your success stories. And the best part about this card is it actually opens up a whole community and a whole world of influencers for you. So again, if you enjoyed the podcast and you'd like to know how you can support us for no cost, please check out our affiliate partner, TriCarat, by visiting influencerblackcard.com. We'll see you on the next episode.